The Boston Celtics have one more roster spot open after the NBA trade deadline. So on today's show, we're going to talk about some buyout candidates that Celtics could possibly sign for their 15th and final roster spot. But keep in mind, Torrey Craig will be mentioned in this video. And thankfully, Brad Stevens already took care of that last night. If you guys want the full video on these Torrey Craig signing details, go check it out right now on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. What should Boston do with the other roster spot? We'll talk about it right now on Celtics Today. Brad Stevens didn't make any big moves by the NBA trade deadline. He did trade away Jaden Springer for a draft pick or two, but overall, looks like the Celtics roster looks pretty much the same as before the trade deadline did pass. So on today's show, we're going to talk about some buyout candidates the Celtics could possibly end up signing, and that's because, look, they have 13 players on their roster right now. They have to fill the 14th spot in the next 2 weeks, so I think the buyout market is the best possible scenario for Brad Stevens and the Celtics moving forward. Before we hop into that, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. If the Celtics make a move, we make a video. If they sign anybody from the buyout market, we will hop on, make an instant video, breaking news, and talk about what this means for the Celtics roster moving forward. We are less than 500 subscribers away from reaching 45,000, so go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. So Gary Washburn tweeted this out after the Celtics deadline did pass, and they said they're expected to focus on the buyout market to add to the roster. They can't sign any player who made above mid-level exception $12.8 million before being waived. This is because the Celtics are well over the luxury tax line, so they can't afford anybody that makes more than about $2 million right now. But just to really break this down a little bit more, because look, I know the numbers can be extremely confusing, MassLive had a really good statement on what this means for Boston moving forward. The Celtics will be limited in what players they can pursue on the buyout market due to their current payroll situation. Boston is above the second apron at $188 million, so they aren't allowed to sign players that were making more than the non-taxpayer mid-level exception at $12.8 million when they were bought out. So for example, I've seen a couple of people comment down below saying, Allie, now that Marcus Smart has been traded to the Wizards, what happens if they waive him? Will they keep Marcus Smart? Can we sign him? No. He doesn't make less than $2 million a year. So while it would be great to go out and get somebody like Marcus Smart, we can't afford him. But I have 5 targets that we can afford. Daniel Theis has recently been waived from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Daniel Theis was actually a trade target for the Boston Celtics, but after they gave away Jaden Springer, I wasn't sure how the salaries were going to match up. But since the Thunder went on ahead and waived Daniel Theis, he's now available for the buyout. And here was a trade that originally did go down. The Pelicans received the 2031 second-round pick, and Daniel Theis went to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This was basically just a salary dump and to really kind of help the Pelicans get under the tax line there, whatever it was I'm trying to say here. Overall, Daniel Theis, what he's been able to do here for the Pelicans, you know, it's been solid. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, this is a guy that wouldn't be starting over Porzingis or Al Horford, but I mean, 5 points a game, 47% from the field, almost 5 boards a game. You're really just kind of looking at a good backup player. And really with Kristaps Porzingis having that playoff experience last year when he got hurt, we didn't have him for the first 3 rounds, and then Al Horford being 38 years old and really can't play back-to-back games, which makes me a little bit nervous heading into the postseason, Daniel Theis might be a pretty good option off the bench. And he's already played for the Celtics once before. Here's my question for you guys. Sign Daniel Theis. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. I'm going to be honest. This may be the best option for the Celtics in the buyout market. There's not a ton of moves Boston can make, but don't worry, I've got 4 more candidates for the Boston Celtics. If you guys want to stick around for them, we're going to break down, possibly even bringing back a former player for Boston. Before we talk about that, let's talk about this. Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America. I'm playing Prize Picks every single game day, and I want you guys to go on ahead and join me. It's super easy. All you guys have to do is just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right, up to 1,000 times your cash. You can choose base basketball, regular season picks right now, or you guys can go on ahead and choose something for the big game. They're giving away a free pick for the big game. Of course, that's Patrick Mahomes to have at least one passing yard. He is automatically going to make sure this happens. So you guys can go on ahead, make your free pick, and make any other pick while you're at it. You can mix and match sports. You can mix and match players and teams, collegiate and professional. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. This will give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. That'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Lonnie Walker obviously signed an Exhibit 10 with the Celtics in the preseason. Had some pretty good games in the preseason as well, but ultimately they couldn't keep both Springer and Walker, despite the extensive effort for Brad Stevens to try and trade Jaden Springer away. It didn't happen in the preseason, so Lonnie Walker went and signed with the EuroLeague. And this was a tweet that came out from Shams Charania all the way back in October. Lonnie Walker will sign with the EuroLeague, and he does tell Shams the deal will include an NBA buyout clause until February 18th. We still have plenty of time. The 25-year-old guard has averaged 10 points throughout his time in Brooklyn over the last season. 13.6 per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 45.2% from the field, and 33.1% from the three-point line. This is what Lonnie Walker is doing right now in the EuroLeague with 19 games played. So the reason why he did this is because he wanted to be able to possibly sign with an NBA team, not so much go to a G League team and just try to work out his time there. But I think Lonnie Walker, he knows the system. You tried to keep him once with Brad Stevens, maybe bring him back from Europe. Another familiar name for the Boston Celtics is Oshae Brissett. Oshae Brissett obviously just won a ring with the Boston Celtics, but now he is currently playing for the Brooklyn's G League team because, well, nobody really signed him in free agency. So, Oshae Brissett, what he was able to do last year for Boston was be a role player. Almost 4 points a game, 55 games played, 3 boards, 44% from the field. Not the best three-point shooter, but he was a wing that the Celtics could rely on primarily for the garbage time minutes. Well, now that you don't have Springer anymore, Oshae Brissett might be a name you might want to pick up from the G League. No, he won't be making that much money, but obviously free agency wasn't that great to Brissett either. So maybe Oshae Brissett would be worth revisiting for Brad Stevens. My question here for you guys, do you think the Celtics should bring back Oshae Brissett? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Let me know in the comment section down below. A familiar name on this list, Torrey Craig. Most recently played for the Chicago Bulls. We actually faced him last week. He had 11 points, 3 rebounds. It wasn't terrible, but he was also recently waived by the Chicago Bulls to let that Zach LaVine trade happen to Sacramento. Torrey Craig over the last season has been dealing with some injuries, so he hasn't even played double-digit games yet so far. And in those games, he's averaging 7 points, 3 boards, 48% from the field, and has a sharp three-point percentage of 43%. Honestly, I'm not in love with PJ Tucker either. And I do actually feel pretty bad for PJ Tucker because this trade deadline has probably been extremely stressful on himself and his family. Why? He's been traded 3 times in the last 5 days. And I do not think he's going to stick with the Toronto Raptors. So that means I think he might get traded 4 times in the next 6 days. So overall, PJ Tucker, once again, you're really getting a backup guy. You're getting some size down low in the post, in the paint. You're not looking at him to put up a lot of points. You're really, unfortunately, not even looking at him to get a lot of boards and primarily make anything from the field. PJ Tucker obviously most recently played with the Los Angeles Clippers. He has now since been around the trade market. PJ Tucker would be available in a buyout, and yes, you do need to add a little bit of injury insurance to the front court, but is this really the guy we want to sign? I'd rather sign Daniel Theis over PJ Tucker if we're trying to build up that 4-5 spot. But, that's just me. Which player should Boston sign on the buyout market? The reason why we have Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I talk, you talk, we talk about it. Name a player down below. Be reasonable. We obviously can't afford the better players because we do have one of the largest and the highest salaries in the NBA. So go on ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. And like I said, if the Celtics make a move, we make a video. Go on ahead, hit that sub button for me if you guys haven't already. Help us get to 45,000 subscribers and hit that sub button.